It's Easter Monday, I'm down at the beach, and the weather as well, it's typically British. We travelled 2 hours outside of London to come here to get fish and chips. Because if I'm being honest, doesn't it taste so much better in a cardboard box by the sea? And why is that? And why is one of our most famous national dishes a piece of battered fish and chips? So let's explore that.
Good old-fashioned fish and chips capture the flavor of an age that is gone.
One thing I miss most about traveling right now is food. Like in Italy, the pizza, the pasta. In Spain, paella, churros. Churros are great. Singapore, the hawker centers. And what are we known for in England? Fish and chips.
Let's have some fish and chips. Let's be really elegant.
And I say it like that because on the world stage of cuisines that you could have, like you could have any of these. And our national dish is a piece of battered fish and a portion of chips. But at the same time, it's just so good, especially by the coast. Nation's favorite since the 1860s. So in the time it takes me to eat these fish and chips, let me explain to you how it became the nation's favorite.
Frank expects to serve something like 1,500 suppers at 3 halfpence a time.
At its height in the 1930s, there was over 30,000 fish and chip shops in the UK. It was so beloved that the British government safeguarded it during both world wars, and it was one of the few foods in the UK that wasn't rationed. And the trend has reduced over the last 90 years as more cuisines were brought into the UK. Right now, there's around 10,500 fish and chip shops in the UK selling 382 million portions of fish and chips a year, which still feels like a lot. It's not hard to find a fish and chip shop in the UK. They're on like every street corner. So it had a boom in the early 20th century, but like this package says, it was introduced into the UK in the 1860s as a culinary fusion between two immigrant cultures. Battered fish came from Spanish and Portuguese Jews who settled in England in the 16th century, and they prepared fried fish in a similar way for Shabbat. And potatoes were thought to have been brought to England from the Americas in the 17th century. And the invention of fish and chips together is unclear. Both Lancashire and London stake claim to first inventing it. And chips were cheap staple food of the industrial north, whilst fried fish was introduced to the London's East End. And in 1839, Charles Dickens referred to fried fish warehouses in his novel Oliver Twist. He could have easily been talking about the market in East London. And in the 1860s, Joseph Mallon opened what was thought to be the first fish and chip shop in the UK in East London. And fish and chips became a stock meal of the working class in England as a consequence of the rapid development of trawl fishing in the North Sea and the development of railways which connected the major ports to most cities during the second half of the 19th century. So the fresh fish could be rapidly transported to the heavily populated areas, which then stapled its position as a prominent meal in British society.
Whoever thought that good old-fashioned fish and chips would become an upper supper?
More and more chippies opened up and restaurants dedicated to just fish and chips. And in the 1960s, Chinese takeaways started to put their own spin on fish and chips. And until the 1980s, it was served in newspaper wrappings. And that practice has now largely been ceased because who really wants to eat their fish and chips out of dirty, inky newspaper? So why is it traditional now to have fish and chips when you come to the seaside? And it's a pretty simple answer. Where better place to eat freshly caught fish than by the sea? But it was also the perfect meal for people who day trip to the beach and couldn't be bothered to bring a picnic and had been walking around all day and were tired. Like, it filled them up. And it usually just cost a couple of pennies for fish and chips. The average now is like £4.90 for fish. But the question about why do they taste better at the seaside? Well, researchers from the University of Arkansas and Dresden in Germany have discovered that smells and therefore flavors tend to hit the spot better when they're accompanied by sounds that match the occasion. So flavors could be improved by the ambient sounds of waves. Or maybe it's the sea air that makes you hungry. Perhaps it's the saltiness of the chips echoing the salt in the air that gives seaside fish and chips that edge over getting them in a town or a city. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below on this very British problem. If you're not from the UK and you've watched this entire video on fish and chips, have you had them before? Are you interested in them, or do you just think that we're kind of crazy? So I am back at the studio. This was a little bit of a different video, but it was also nice to get out of London and tell a story about fish and chips. So if you're new around here, my name is Andy. I make word explainers on this channel every Sunday. The goal for this year is to get this channel to 10K subscribers. And how you can help with that is by subscribing to this channel if you have not already yet subscribed, and liking and commenting and all those things apparently help too. So once again, thanks for watching, stay safe, and I will see you guys in the next one.